The dust on the old Earth colony had not been disturbed for 10,000 years. Professor Kelvan brushed his three-fingered hand across the broken stone, watching particles float away in the thin atmosphere. His team of archaeologists had traveled 6 months to reach this dead world, hoping to find answers about the mysterious humans who once lived here. "Nothing but ruins," his assistant said, her voice crackling through the communication device. "Just like all the other human worlds we've found." Kelvan nodded slowly. Humanity had vanished so long ago that most species believed they were just myths. The history books said humans died in the Great Convergence War, wiped out completely. Their planets remained empty monuments to a civilization that reached too high and fell too hard. He walked through what had once been a city street. The buildings were collapsed, but even in decay, they showed incredible engineering. Humans had been builders, creators of things that lasted. Whatever killed them must have been terrible. "Professor, you need to see this." Another team member called from inside a half-buried structure. Kelvan followed the voice into darkness. His light illuminated walls, covered in strange symbols and diagrams. Human writing, human mathematics, human science. At the center of the room stood a device, still humming with power after all these centuries. "It's still active," Kelvan whispered in awe. "After 10,000 years." The moment he touched it, lights blazed to life throughout the ruins. The ground trembled. Somewhere deep below, ancient machines awakened. The archaeologists ran for their ship as automated defenses rose from the dust, weapons tracking their movements with cold precision. They escaped. Barely. As their ship fled into space, Kelvan looked back at the planet. For a civilization that died millennia ago, their security systems worked perfectly. It made him wonder what else about humanity's extinction might be wrong. Light years away, in a place no alien had ever seen, Lieutenant Wu Jin guided his small scout ship through the darkness between stars. He was young for a pilot. Only 27, but he had trained his whole life for missions like this. His job was simple. Watch the borders of human space and make sure nobody found them. The Shroud, they called it. A massive field of technology that bent light and gravity, hiding hundreds of human worlds from every sensor in the galaxy. For 10,000 years, humanity had lived behind this invisible wall, forgotten by everyone. Not extinct, just hidden. Wu Jin's sensor screen blinked red. Something was out there. Beyond the Shroud's edge. He pushed his ship closer. Carefully. Ready to retreat at any sign of danger. His orders were clear. Observe only. Never engage. Never reveal yourself. The signal grew stronger. A distress call. Broadcasting in the common galactic language. A merchant ship under attack. Wu Jin's hands tightened on the controls. Protocol said to ignore it. Humanity's safety depended on staying hidden, but the screams in the distress call were real. People dying while he listened. He made his decision in seconds. His ship broke through the Shroud, appearing in normal space for the first time in his career. The sight before him was horrific. A massive creature, if something so alien could be called a creature, was tearing apart a small cargo vessel. The Devourers, his training called them, extra-dimensional parasites that ate matter itself. Wu Jin's weapons were designed to fight things that shouldn't exist. He fired, and the Devourer dissolved into nothing, its connection to reality severed. The merchant ship's crew stared at his vessel in shock, unable to understand what they were seeing. Human ships didn't exist. Humans were extinct. "Get out of here," Wu Jin transmitted in their language. "More will come. Run." He vanished back into the Shroud before they could respond, his heart pounding. He had just broken the most important rule in human civilization. He had revealed that humanity still lived. Admiral Tae-Soo received the report in his office deep inside the moon of Earth. He was an old man now, 58 years spent defending a secret. His hair had gone gray, managing humanity's greatest deception. When he read what Wu Jin had done, he didn't feel anger. He felt relief. "It was always going to happen eventually," he said to his empty office. "We can't hide forever." He thought back to the day they made the choice, 10,000 years ago by the calendar, though he hadn't lived through all those centuries personally. Time dilation and suspended animation made the years strange. He remembered the discovery, though, the thing they found in deep space, the artifact that could reshape reality itself. The Nexus, they called it. Humanity had achieved so much by then. They were powerful, advanced, respected, and they realized that if they revealed what they'd found, it would cause war. Every species would want to control something that could rewrite the laws of physics. Billions would die fighting over it, so they chose differently. They took the Nexus and left, faked their own extinction, hid behind the shroud and spent 10,000 years becoming strong enough to protect what they'd found. But the Devourers changed everything. They were coming, following the Nexus's energy signature across dimensions, and soon they would reach human space, shroud or not. Tae-Soo called an emergency meeting of the High Command. Captain Han Dae arrived first, a tactical genius despite his young age of 34. Dr. Yuna Kang came next, the smartest xenoanthropologist humanity had produced. She understood alien cultures better than anyone. Hana Choi, the chief engineer, arrived late, covered in grease from her workshop. Nari Song, cold and calculating intelligence officer, was already waiting in the shadows. The situation has changed, Tae-Soo began. Lieutenant Wu Jin broke protocol. He saved an alien ship. They saw him, then we silenced them, Nari said immediately. No. Dr. Yuna leaned forward, her eyes bright. This is our chance. The Devourers are coming. The galaxy doesn't know how to fight them. We do. We've been preparing for exactly this threat for 10,000 years. Han Dae nodded slowly. She's right. The shroud won't stop the Devourers. When they find us, they'll tear through it. And if we're fighting alone, even we might not survive. You're suggesting we reveal ourselves? Tae-Soo asked, though he already knew the answer. I'm suggesting we offer help, Yuna said. On our terms. We show the galaxy that humanity didn't die. We evolved. We're stronger than ever, and we're willing to stand with them against this threat. Hana laughed, a sharp sound. The galaxy that wrote us off as extinct? That stole our colonies after we left? You think they'll welcome us back? They'll be terrified of us, Nari added. We're the monsters from their ghost stories now. Then we prove we're not monsters, Yuna insisted. We show them who humanity really became. Tae-Soo looked at each of them. He thought of all the years spent hiding, all the sacrifice. He thought of the Devourers, eating worlds at the edge of the galaxy. He thought of Wu Jin, a young pilot who broke the rules to save lives. Prepare a message, he said finally. Find someone to speak for us. We're going back. As the meeting ended and plans were made, none of them knew that the galaxy was already in chaos over Wu Jin's brief appearance. The merchant crew had told everyone about the ghost ship that saved them, about technology that shouldn't exist, about humans who were supposed to be dead. The secret was breaking apart. Humanity's long isolation was ending, and nothing would ever be the same again. Ambassador Hyun Park stood before the camera, knowing that his next words would reach every corner of the galaxy. He was 45 years old, chosen for this moment because of his calm voice and honest face. Behind him, through the viewport, Earth floated in space, beautiful, alive, and supposedly abandoned for 10,000 years. He took a breath and began to speak. My name is Hyun Park. I am human. My species did not die in the Convergence War. We did not fall to plague or disaster. We made a choice. We chose to leave. We chose to be forgotten. And now, we choose to return. The message broadcast across every communication network in civilized space. On 1,000 worlds. In 1,000,000 homes. People stopped what they were doing and stared at their screens. Humans. Alive. Speaking. We left because we discovered something dangerous, Hyun continued. Something that would have caused war across the entire galaxy. We couldn't let that happen. So we took what we found and vanished. We let you believe we were gone. We're sorry for the deception, but it was necessary." He paused, letting his words sink in. "Now, a new threat approaches. The creatures you call devourers. We know how to fight them. We've been preparing for 10,000 years. We want to help. We want to stand with you. All we ask is that you give us a chance to prove our intentions." The screen went dark. The message was sent. There was no taking it back now. The galaxy exploded in chaos. The Galactic Council, the loose alliance of species that governed civilized space, held an emergency session. Representatives from 30 different worlds argued and shouted and demanded answers. How could humans be alive? Where had they been hiding? What were they planning? Were they a threat? "I say we mobilize our fleets," one representative bellowed, his scales flashing red with agitation. Humans were dangerous before. Now they've had 10,000 years to become even more deadly. Or they're telling the truth, another voice countered. The devourers are real. We've lost 47 systems to them. If humans know how to fight these things, we need their help. The council leader, an ancient being who had lived through 3 separate galactic ages, raised one withered hand for silence. They claim they can prove themselves. Let them prove it. Send them coordinates for a neutral station. If they come alone and unarmed as we demand, we listen. If they come with weapons, we know their true nature. The coordinates were sent. The galaxy held its breath. Captain Hyundai stood on the bridge of his ship, the Silent Wind, and smiled. Around him, the crew worked with practiced efficiency. They had trained for this moment, but training and reality were different things. He felt the weight of responsibility pressing down on him. 200 ships ready, his first officer reported. All systems green. Good. Hyundai looked at the starfield ahead. Somewhere out there, beyond the shroud, the galaxy was waiting to see if humanity would keep its word. They expected one ship. They were about to get so much more. "Drop the shroud," he commanded. "Show them everything." The effect was immediate and spectacular. Space itself seemed to ripple and tear. One moment, there was empty void. The next, 200 human warships materialized in perfect formation. They hung in space like a constellation of steel and fire, their hulls gleaming with technology that made alien sensors scream in confusion. At the neutral station, alarms shrieked. Defensive weapons powered up. Alien crews scrambled to their posts, terrified and amazed in equal measure. 200 ships. Humanity had brought 200 ships, but every weapon on those ships was cold. Every missile tube was closed. They had come in force, but they came in peace. Hyundai's face appeared on every screen in the station. "We keep our promises," he said simply. "We came to prove ourselves. Are you ready to listen, Doctor?" Yuna Kang stepped through the airlock into the station and immediately felt thousands of eyes on her. She was the first human most of these beings had ever seen in person. She smiled, trying to look friendly despite her racing heart. "I'm Dr. Yuna Kang," she said to the assembled representatives. "I'm a xenoanthropologist. I study other species and their cultures. I've spent my whole life learning about all of you. Even though we've never met, we never stopped caring about the galaxy we left behind." She activated a holographic display, showing Earth's solar system as it had been 10,000 years ago. "This is when we left. We had just discovered something. An artifact created by the species that came before us, the ones you call the precursors. This artifact could change reality itself, make or unmake anything." The room fell silent as the implications sank in. "We knew what would happen if we revealed this discovery," Yuna continued. "Every species would want it. Wars would start. Billions would die fighting for control of something that could destroy the universe if used wrongly. So we made a hard choice. We took the artifact and left. We let you think we were dead. We've been protecting it ever since." "Protecting it from us," one representative said bitterly. "You thought we couldn't be trusted. We thought no one could be trusted with that much power." Yuna corrected gently. "Not even ourselves." That's why we isolated ourselves. To keep everyone safe, including us. Narration, watching from the silent wind, saw the reports flooding in from across the galaxy. Conspiracy theories spreading like wildfire. Fear and wonder mixed together. Some species were already mobilizing their fleets, preparing for war with the returned humans. Others were celebrating, seeing hope for the first time since the Devourers appeared. It's a mess, she reported to Hyundai. Half the galaxy wants to hug us. The other half wants to kill us. Expected, Hyundai replied. Keep monitoring. Let me know if anyone does something stupid. At the station, Yuna was showing historical records, proof that humanity had survived and thrived in isolation. Images of Earth, transformed but still beautiful. Records of human colonies spread across hundreds of worlds, all hidden behind the shroud. Technology that had advanced far beyond what the galaxy remembered. You've been spying on us, an accusation came from the crowd. Yes, Yuna admitted. We needed to know if the galaxy was safe to return to. We needed to know if you'd changed. But we never interfered. We never took sides in your wars. We just watched and waited. And now you're back because you need something, another voice called out. You need help with your artifact. No, Narration stepped forward, her intelligence officer uniform marking her clearly. We're back because you need help. The Devourers are attracted to high energy sources. They're coming for our artifact, whether we like it or not. And when they reach it, they'll tear through every world between here and there to get to it. She pulled up a map showing Devourer movements over the past 3 years. The pattern was clear. They were heading toward human space. Toward the Nexus. We can fight them, Nari continued. We've built weapons specifically for this threat. We've prepared. But if we fight alone, we might fail. If we work together, we have a chance. That's why we're revealing ourselves. Not for our sake. For everyone's. The station fell into chaos again. Arguments erupted. Some wanted to accept human help immediately. Others demanded the humans hand over their technology first. Some wanted the artifact destroyed. Some wanted it studied. Everyone had opinions, and nobody agreed. Engineer Hana Choi watched from her workshop aboard the Silent Wind, shaking her head. Politicians, she muttered. Always talking, never doing. She was working on a demonstration that would make all the arguing pointless, a small device that would show exactly how advanced human technology had become, how far ahead they had pulled in 10,000 years of focused development. Ready when you are, Captain, she reported to Hyundai. Not yet, Hyundai replied. Let them argue. When they're tired of talking, we'll show them. Wu Jin sat in his small scout ship, docked inside the Silent Wind, feeling guilty. His choice to save those aliens had started all of this. He'd broken protocol, and now his entire civilization was exposed, but he couldn't regret it. He'd saved lives. And maybe, just maybe, he'd given humanity a chance to finally come home. An alert chimed. Movement on the edge of the system. Something big. Something wrong. Captain. Wu Jin's voice came over the communication system. We have incoming. Devourer signature. Big one. Hyundai's response was instant. Battle stations. All ships. Defensive formation around the station. The representatives in the station saw human ships moving with frightening precision, forming a protective wall between them and the approaching horror. They saw weapons powering up, shields strengthening. Every ship acting as one unified force. Watch, Hyundai broadcasted to everyone. Watch what we learned in our isolation. Watch how humans fight. The Devourer came through dimensional barriers, a thing of twisted physics and hungry darkness. It was massive, larger than most ships. It reached for the station with appendages that shouldn't exist. Human weapons fired, not lasers or missiles, but beams of twisted spacetime that cut through dimensional barriers. Singularity mines that collapsed the Devourer's connection to reality. Technology that fought monsters from outside normal physics. The Devourer died in seconds, dissolving into nothing. The station's defenders hadn't even had time to raise their shields. Silence filled the communication channels. Then, slowly, understanding dawned. This was what humans had become. Warriors who could kill things that shouldn't die. Protectors who had spent 10,000 years learning to fight the unfightable. "Do we have an alliance?" Hyundai asked simply. The council leader looked at his fellow representatives. He saw fear in their eyes. Fear of humans, fear of devourers, fear of the future. But he also saw hope. Maybe, just maybe, they had a chance. "Let's talk," the council leader said finally. 3 months after humanity's return, engineer Hana Choi found herself in the engine room of an alien warship, surrounded by technology that made her want to cry. Not because it was beautiful, but because it was so outdated. These people had been using the same power systems for thousands of years. "This is your main reactor?" she asked, trying not to sound insulting. The ship's chief engineer, a being with 4 arms and crystalline skin, nodded proudly. "Most efficient design in the fleet," Hana bit her tongue. Efficient by their standards, maybe. By human standards, it was barely better than burning wood for heat. But she couldn't say that. Diplomacy was hard. "I can improve it," she said carefully. "With your permission, I'd like to install human-designed shield generators. They'll protect you from devourer attacks." "Will they work?" the alien engineer asked, suspicious. "Or are you sabotaging us?" The question hurt, but Hana understood it. Trust was hard to build. Humans had appeared from nowhere, claiming to be friends. Some species believed them. Others, like this engineer's people, remained skeptical. "I'll install one generator first," Hana offered. "We'll test it together. If it doesn't work, you can throw me out the airlock." The alien engineer's crystals flickered with amusement. "Deal." Across the galaxy, similar scenes played out. Human advisors worked with alien crews, sharing technology carefully. Some collaborations went well. Others didn't. Cultural differences ran deep after 10,000 years of separation. Captain Hyundai stood in the Joint Command Center, watching dozens of different species trying to coordinate their defenses. It was chaos. Every species had their own protocols, their own command structures, their own way of doing things. Getting them to work together was like herding cats. Violent, suspicious cats that spoke different languages. "The Vexian fleet refuses to take orders from the Korathi commander," his communication officer reported. "They say Korathi are cowards." "The Korathi say Vexians are reckless and stupid," another officer added. Hyundai rubbed his temples. "Tell them both that the devourers don't care about their historical grudges. When the monsters come, everyone dies the same way." It was harsh, but true. Already, 17 more systems had fallen to devourer attacks in the past month. Time was running out. Dr. Yuna Kang was having similar problems with the Cultural Integration Program. She'd organized meetings where humans and aliens could learn about each other. The first session had ended in a fistfight when a human soldier made a joke that translated very badly in the alien language. The second session went better. But barely. "They're trying," she told Ambassador Hyun Park during their daily briefing. "But 10,000 years is a long time. We're strangers to them. Strange, powerful, scary strangers." "I know," Hyun said tiredly. He looked older than his 45 years. The stress of representing humanity was wearing on him. "Do what you can. Time will help. If we have enough time." That was the real question. Would they have time to build trust before the devourers came in force? Nari Song sat in her intelligence office, surrounded by screens showing data from across the galaxy. She saw patterns others missed, connections between seemingly random events, and what she saw worried her deeply. "Captain," she reported to Hyundai, "we have a problem. I'm tracking unusual movement in 3 separate fleets. They're positioning themselves near human supply routes." "Pirates?" Hyundai asked. "Worse. Military vessels. I think some species are planning to steal our technology." Hyundai's jaw tightened. They'd feared this. Human technology was incredibly advanced. Ships, weapons, tools that could change the balance of power in the galaxy. Some species saw this as an opportunity they couldn't pass up. Evidence? Strong enough that I'd bet my career on it, Nari replied. They're going to make a move soon. Keep watching. Don't act yet. We need proof before we can accuse anyone. But proof came faster than expected, and in the worst possible way. Lieutenant Wu Jin was escorting a convoy of human supply ships through neutral space when his sensors detected incoming vessels. 5 warships, bearing the marks of the Thelvian Empire. They were supposed to be allies. This is Lieutenant Wu Jin of the Human Defense Force, he broadcast. You're approaching a protected convoy. Please maintain distance. The response was immediate. This is Commander Vec of the Thelvian Navy. Your convoy is carrying advanced technology through our territory. We're claiming it as salvage rights. Wu Jin felt his blood run cold. Salvage rights. The legal excuse to steal from supposedly abandoned vessels. They were treating human ships like they were empty wrecks. Our convoy is very much alive and active, Wu Jin replied. There are no salvage rights here. Humans were declared extinct 10,000 years ago, Commander Vec said. That declaration was never officially revoked. Legally, you don't exist. Your ships are abandoned property. It was clever. Twisted and wrong, but clever. They'd found a loophole in ancient laws. Back off, Wu Jin warned. I don't want to fight you. You're 1 scout ship against 5 warships. Vec laughed. What are you going to do? Wu Jin showed him. His small ship was designed for reconnaissance, but it carried weapons far beyond its size. He fired once, a precise shot that disabled the lead Thelvian ship's engines without destroying it. The other 4 ships scattered in panic. I'm very good at my job, Wu Jin said calmly. Leave now. Tell your commanders that humans exist, we're protected by the Alliance, and we don't appreciate being robbed. The Thelvian ships retreated, but the damage was done. Within hours, news of the incident spread across the galaxy. Humans had fired on Alliance members. Some species called it justified defense. Others called it an act of war. Ambassador Hyun Park stood before the Galactic Council again, this time defending humanity's actions. Lieutenant Wu Jin acted in self-defense. The Thelvian vessels attempted armed robbery of a legitimate convoy. Your lieutenant could have retreated, a council member argued. Instead, he chose violence. And he protected his people, Hyun replied firmly. That's not violence, that's duty. And if the Alliance won't protect human ships, then we'll protect ourselves. Is that a threat? The council leader asked quietly. It's a promise, Hyun said. We came back to help you. We're sharing our technology, our knowledge, our strength. But we won't be victims. We won't let you treat us like we're still extinct. Either we're part of this alliance as equals, or we're not part of it at all. The council chamber erupted in arguments again. Some supported Hyun's stance. Others saw it as proof that humans were too dangerous to trust. Nari Song watched the political fallout with calculating eyes. This was a test, she told Hyundai. The Thelvians wanted to see how we'd react. Now everyone knows. We'll fight back. Will that help or hurt us? Hyundai asked. Both, Nari said. Some species will respect our strength. Others will see it as confirmation that we're a threat. We're walking a knife's edge. Captain, that night, someone tried to sabotage the human delegation at the neutral station. A bomb was planted in the human quarters, set to detonate during the sleep cycle. Wu Jin, who had arrived to report on the convoy incident, discovered it by accident when his scanner detected unusual energy signatures. He disabled the bomb and raised the alarm. Security forces swept the station, finding 2 more explosive devices. The would-be assassin was caught trying to escape. Under questioning, they confessed to being part of a radical group that believed humans should have stayed extinct. The assassination attempt changed everything. Species that had been skeptical of humans suddenly became protective. An attack on one alliance member was an attack on all. The Galactic Council issued a statement affirming human rights and protections. Legal scholars worked overtime to update laws that still treated humans as extinct, but trust remained fragile. Yuna could see it in every interaction. Aliens watched humans carefully, measuring every word and action, looking for signs of aggression or deception. The shadow of humanity's violent past hung over every conversation. Hana Choi, meanwhile, had successfully installed shield generators on 12 alien warships. Everyone worked perfectly, protecting the ships from test attacks that would have destroyed them before. Slowly, word spread. Human technology worked. Human help was real. They're starting to believe us. Hana reported to Admiral Tae-soo during a secure communication. But it's slow. Too slow. Keep working, Tae-soo encouraged her. Every ship you protect, every life you save, builds trust. But time was running out. Nari's intelligence showed devourer forces massing at the edge of charted space. Something big was coming. A coordinated attack on multiple fronts. The devourers were changing tactics, becoming more organized, as if they sensed the growing alliance and wanted to break it before it became strong. Hyundai called a meeting of all fleet commanders, human and alien alike. The conference room was crowded with dozens of species, all trying to find common ground. The devourers are coming, Hyundai said bluntly. Not in months, in weeks, maybe days. We're not ready. We're not united. We're still arguing about politics while the enemy gathers strength. What do you suggest? The Korathi commander asked. I suggest we stop testing each other and start trusting each other, Hyundai replied. I suggest we remember why we formed this alliance. Not because we like each other. Not because we trust each other. But because alone, we all die. Together, we have a chance. He brought up a star map showing devourer movements. They're targeting 40 systems simultaneously. If we split our forces trying to defend everything, we defend nothing. We need to choose. Which systems do we save? Which do we abandon? The room fell silent. It was a horrible choice. Every system had billions of lives. How do you decide who lives and who dies? An alien admiral stood slowly, her 6 legs trembling. My homeworld is in the strike zone. If we abandon it, my entire species dies. But I understand strategic necessity. If saving my world means losing the war, then let my world burn. Sacrifice the few to save the many. Her words hit like a physical blow. Around the room, other commanders began speaking, offering their own worlds as acceptable losses if it meant victory. Humans watched in amazement, as species that had been arguing hours ago now offered to sacrifice everything for the greater good. No, Yuna said suddenly. We don't abandon anyone. That's not why we came back. Humans spent 10,000 years preparing for this. We have weapons, shields, tactics that you don't. We can defend all 40 systems if we work perfectly together. That's impossible, someone protested. We don't have enough ships. We have enough if we use them right, Hyundai said, catching Yuna's vision. Human ships are force multipliers. One of our warships equals 10 of yours in combat effectiveness. Not because we're better, but because we specialized. We built everything to fight devourers. If we coordinate perfectly, use human ships as mobile support, it could work, the Korathi commander said slowly. But it requires absolute trust. Human ships would need access to all our defense networks, all our communication codes. One betrayal, and we lose everything. Everyone looked at the humans. This was the moment. The test of whether the alliance was real or just words. Ambassador Hyun Park stood. Then trust us. We're giving you access to our technology, our tactics, our people. We're holding nothing back. All we ask is the same in return. The silence stretched for what felt like forever. Then, one by one, commanders agreed. They opened their networks, shared their codes, placed their entire civilizations in human hands. The alliance, fragile and new, became real. The attack came at dawn, Galactic Standard Time, across 40 systems simultaneously. Devourers tore through dimensional barriers like paper, appearing in orbit around populated worlds with hungry intent. Billions of lives hung in the balance. Captain Han Day stood in the Central Command Center, watching 40 different battles unfold on 40 different screens. His people had spent 10,000 years preparing for this moment. Now he would find out if it was enough. All human vessels, begin deployment sequence, he ordered. Protect the civilians. Hold the line. Across the galaxy, 2,000 human warships moved with perfect precision. They were vastly outnumbered. The Devourers had brought tens of thousands of their twisted forms. But humans weren't fighting alone anymore. At System 7, Wu Jin led his squadron in a desperate defense of a Korathi colony world. 5 million aliens lived on the surface, watching the sky fill with monsters. His 6 ships were all that stood between them and extinction. Form up, Wu Jin commanded. Singularity mines, full spread, make every shot count. His squadron released their weapons, and space itself twisted. The mines created tiny black holes, microscopic but powerful. Devourers caught in their pull were ripped apart, torn across dimensions until they ceased to exist. 3 of the creatures died in the first volley, but more kept coming. Always more. We can't hold them all. His wingman called out, fear evident in her voice. We don't have to hold them all, Wu Jin replied. Just long enough. On cue, the Korathi defense fleet arrived, dozens of ships equipped with the shield generators Hana Choi had installed. They took up positions around the colony, their shields creating an overlapping barrier that could withstand Devourer attacks. Korathi fleet in position, their commander reported. We've got your back, human. Wu Jin felt emotion tighten his throat. 3 months ago, these people wanted nothing to do with humans. Now they were fighting side by side, trusting each other with their lives. Then let's show these things what an alliance can do, he said. At System 19, engineer Hana Choi was aboard an alien carrier, her hands flying across control panels as she redirected power to failing shields. The ship was taking a beating, but it was holding. Her modifications were working. Shield at 60%, the alien captain reported. Your technology is saving us. Our technology, Hana corrected. We shared it. It's yours now too. A massive devourer rammed the ship, and the hull groaned under the impact. Warning lights flashed red across every console. But the shields held, absorbing energy that should have torn the vessel apart. Return fire, the captain ordered. All weapons. The carrier's guns blazed, using the targeting systems Hana had upgraded. Every shot found its mark, burning through devourer flesh with concentrated energy. The creature recoiled, wounded for the first time. It's working, someone shouted. We're hurting them. Hana allowed herself a brief smile. For 10,000 years, humans had built weapons to fight these things. Now those weapons were in hands across the galaxy. And they were winning, but not everywhere. At System 23, things were going badly. Admiral Tae-Soo watched the tactical display from his command ship in orbit around Earth. System 23 was losing. 3 human ships destroyed, a dozen alien vessels crippled, and devourers were breaking through to the inhabited planets below. Sir, they need reinforcements, his tactical officer said urgently. We don't have reinforcements, Tae-Soo replied grimly. Everyone is committed. Every ship is fighting. He hated this. Hated watching people die while he sat safe. But he was the supreme commander. His place was here, coordinating the overall defense. If he left to save one system, others might fall. Sir, incoming transmission from System 23. The planet governor is requesting permission to evacuate. Tae-Soo closed his eyes. Evacuation meant admitting defeat. It meant abandoning a world to the devourers, but it also meant saving lives. Sometimes, retreat was the only option. Permission granted, he said quietly. Pull back our ships to cover the evacuation. Save everyone you can. The transmission sent. Tae-Soo felt the weight of command crushing down on him. He'd made the same choice 10,000 years ago when humanity fled. Leave some behind to save the rest. It never got easier. Dr. Yuna Kang wasn't in the fleet. She was on a refugee ship, helping evacuate civilians from a threatened world. Families crowded the corridors, carrying everything they owned. Children cried. Parents tried to stay calm despite their fear. It's going to be okay, Yuna told a young alien child who couldn't stop shaking. Our ships are protecting you. You're safe. The child looked up at her with too many eyes. Are you human? Yes. My teacher said humans are scary. Yuna knelt down to the child's level. We can be scary to our enemies, but we're friends to people who need help. That's why we came back. To help. An explosion rocked the ship. A devourer had gotten through the defensive line. Yuna felt her heart race, but she kept her voice calm. Stay here. I'll be right back. She ran to the bridge, where the captain was frantically trying to maneuver away from the pursuing creature. The refugee ship had no weapons, only shields. And those shields were failing. Can you jump to faster than light? Yuna asked. Not with a devourer this close. The dimensional distortion would tear us apart. Yuna thought fast. She'd studied devourer behavior for years. They were predators, but they followed patterns. Cut all power except life support. Make the ship look dead. That's insane, the captain protested. Trust me, Yuna said. The captain hesitated, then gave the order. The ship went dark and still, drifting in space like a corpse. The devourer circled them, probing with its extra-dimensional senses. Yuna held her breath, watching through the viewport as the creature's attention wavered. Then, blessedly, it turned away, hunting for more active prey. Power up and jump, Yuna whispered. Now, before it comes back. The ship's engines roared to life and they leaped into faster-than-light travel, leaving the battle behind. 1,000 refugees were safe because of one human's knowledge and quick thinking. Back at the Central Command, Captain Han Day was coordinating 40 battles while fighting his own exhaustion. He'd been awake for 30 hours, running on stimulants and determination. The tactical display swam before his eyes, but he couldn't stop. Too many lives depended on his decisions. System 7 secure. A report came in. Wujin's squadron held the line. System 19 holding. Another voice reported. Hana's modifications are performing above expectations. System 23 evacuated. Minimal casualties. One by one, systems checked in. Victories and defeats, but mostly victories. The alliance was holding. Humanity's preparation was making the difference. But then Nari Song's voice cut through the chatter, cold and urgent. Captain, we have a problem. Long-range sensors detecting massive devourer formation. It's heading for our coordinates. Han Day felt ice in his veins. Show me. The display zoomed out, showing the whole strategic situation. And there, moving through space with terrible purpose, was a devourer fleet 10 times larger than everything they'd faced so far. It was heading straight for human space. Straight for the Nexus. They know where it is, Nari said. The artifact is calling them. Everything we've fought so far was just a distraction. This is the real attack. Han Day looked at the numbers. The main devourer force would reach human territory in 6 hours. Even if they pulled every ship back from the 40 systems they were defending, they might not have enough firepower to stop it. Get me the council, he said. Emergency priority. Minutes later, Ambassador Hyun Park appeared on screen along with the council leader and military commanders from a dozen species. The main force is coming, Han Day reported. Everything else was a feint. They're going after the Nexus directly. Then destroy it, someone suggested. Remove what they're hunting. We can't, Hyun replied. The Nexus is indestructible. The precursors made it that way. All we can do is defend it. Can you defend it? The council leader asked. Han Day looked at his tactical display, running calculations in his tired mind. Alone? No. But if we pull together every ship in the Alliance, concentrate everything at the Nexus location, we might have a chance. Maybe 20%. 20%, the council leader repeated. Those are not good odds. They're the only odds we have, Admiral Tae-Soo said, his weathered face grim. This is why we came back. Why we revealed ourselves. We knew this moment would come. We've been preparing for 10,000 years. Now we find out if it was enough." The council leader looked around at his fellow representatives. "If we concentrate all forces at the Nexus, we abandon the 40 systems under attack. Millions will die. If we don't stop the main force," Hyundai said quietly, "billions will die. The Devourers will get the Nexus. And if they learn to use it, to control it, they'll unmake reality itself. Everything will die." Silence filled the communication channel. Then, slowly, commanders began reporting in. One by one, they committed their forces. Everything they had. Sent to one location. One final desperate stand. "All ships will rendezvous at the Nexus coordinates," the council leader ordered. "We make our stand there. Together." As the transmission ended, Hyundai issued orders to pull back from the 40 systems. Some would be overrun before evacuation was complete. Some civilians would be left behind. The math was brutal but necessary. Save the few, or risk losing everyone. Wu Jin received the recall order while still fighting over the Korathi colony. His squadron had been in combat for 8 hours straight, exhausted and running low on ammunition. But they'd held the line. "All units, we're pulling back," he transmitted. "Fighting retreat to jump coordinates." "What about the colony?" his wingman asked. "The Korathi fleet will hold them. We're needed elsewhere. Move out." As his squadron jumped to faster than light, Wu Jin looked back at the planet they'd defended. Lights glowed on the surface. Cities full of people who were alive because humans had fought for them. He hoped they'd remember that, whatever happened next. 6 hours later, the largest military fleet in galactic history gathered around the Nexus. 5,000 ships from 30 different species, human and alien side by side. They formed a massive sphere of steel around a small, seemingly insignificant asteroid where humanity had hidden the artifact for 10,000 years. Hyundai stood on the bridge of his flagship, looking at the assembled might. It should have been inspiring. Instead, he felt dread. Because his sensors were showing him what was coming. The Devourer fleet dropped out of whatever dimension they called home. 20,000 creatures. Each one massive. Each one hungry. They filled space like a dark tide, blotting out the stars. "All ships," Hyundai transmitted, his voice carrying to every vessel in the fleet. "This is it. This is what humanity prepared for. What we've all been preparing for. Behind us is something that could end the universe. In front of us are things that want to destroy it. We don't get second chances. We don't get to retreat. This is the line. Here, we hold. Here, we fight. Here, we win. Together." His words echoed across the fleet. Then, as one, 5,000 ships powered their weapons and prepared for the battle that would decide the fate of the galaxy. The Devourers came like a storm of darkness, 20,000 strong against 5,000 defenders. The battle began before anyone gave an order. It simply erupted into existence. Weapons firing, shields flaring, space itself screaming under the violence. Captain Hyundai watched his tactical display fragment into chaos. Plans lasted seconds before dissolving under the reality of combat. This wasn't the clean warfare of simulations. This was survival. "All human ships, singularity mine deployment," he ordered. "Create a kill zone at grid 773. Across the fleet, human vessels released their weapons. Space twisted and buckled as artificial black holes bloomed into existence. Hundreds of Devourers were caught in the gravitational pull, torn apart before they could retreat. It was a victory that lasted exactly 30 seconds before more creatures poured through to replace them. Wu Jin flew his fighter through the massive battle, dodging Devourer appendages and friendly fire with equal desperation. His squadron was down to 4 ships from the original 6. They'd been fighting for 3 hours with no end in sight. "Lead! I'm hit," his wingman called out. "Shields failing." "Break off," Wu Jin ordered. "Get to the repair ships." "Can't. Engines damaged. I'm drifting into the Devourer line." Wu Jin didn't hesitate. He dove after her, his own shields flaring as Devourer attacks hammered him. He locked a tractor beam onto her crippled fighter and pulled, straining his ship's engines. They escaped the kill zone by meters. "Thanks, lead," his wingman said, her voice shaking. "We don't leave people behind," Wu Jin replied. "Not anymore. That's what this whole thing is about." On the asteroid where the Nexus was hidden, engineer Hana Choi worked frantically inside a makeshift bunker. The artifact itself was in a chamber deep below ground, pulsing with energy that made her teeth ache. Admiral Tae-Soo had asked her to do something impossible. Use the Nexus as bait but prevent the Devourers from actually reaching it. "How's it going?" Tae-Soo's voice crackled through her communicator from his command ship above. "It's going," Hana replied, not looking up from her work. "I'm building a dimensional trap. If I can get it working, any Devourer that gets close will be caught in a feedback loop. They'll be trying to reach the Nexus forever, trapped in a pocket dimension. If this is precursor technology, Admiral. I'm making this up as I go. Could work. Could explode and take out half the solar system. Won't know until I try." You have 2 hours, Tae-Soo said. "That's how long I think the fleet can hold." Hana looked at her half-finished device. "I'll need 3. Find a way to need 2, Tae-Soo said, and the channel closed. Above, the battle raged with increasing fury. The Alliance fleet was fighting brilliantly, using human tactics and combined firepower to maximize their effectiveness. But the Devourers kept coming. For every one destroyed, 2 more appeared. The numbers were slowly grinding the defenders down. Dr. Yuna Kang was on a hospital ship behind the battle lines, treating wounded from both sides. Human and alien casualties filled the medical bays. She moved between beds, offering comfort and care to anyone who needed it. "Doctor," an alien soldier called weakly. His species didn't have a name Yuna could pronounce. "Am I dying?" She checked his injuries. They were bad. Very bad. "Not if I can help it," she said, injecting him with medicine that would stabilize his vitals. It was human medicine, designed for human biology. It might not work on his species, but doing nothing definitely wouldn't work. "You came back," the soldier whispered. "Humanity came back to save us. We came back because it was right," Yuna said, watching his vital signs strengthen as the medicine worked. "Because hiding forever wasn't living. It was just existing. We know. I'm on a stime. We came back because it was right. I'm on a stime. We came back because it was right. I'm on a stime. We came back because it was right." Across the hospital ship, similar scenes played out. Human doctors using their advanced medical technology to save alien lives. It was a different kind of battle. But just as important, every life saved was a victory against the darkness. On the command deck, Han Dae was running on fumes and willpower. His entire body ached from exhaustion. Stimulants could only do so much. But he couldn't stop. The moment he stopped, people died. "Captain, the left flank is collapsing," his tactical officer reported. "Korathi fleet is down to 30% strength. Reinforce them," Han Dae ordered. "Pull ships from the center." "Sir, that weakens our core defense." "I know what it does," Han Dae snapped, then immediately regretted his tone. "Sorry. Just do it. We save everyone, or we save no one." Human ships peeled away from the central formation, racing to support the battered Korathi fleet. It left a gap in the defenses. Devourers immediately poured through, heading straight for the asteroid where the Nexus waited. "They're through," someone shouted. 20. No. 30 Devourers breaking for the surface. Han Dae felt his heart sink. They couldn't stop them all. Some would reach the asteroid. "Reach Hana. All fighters, intercept course," he ordered. "Buy her time." Wu Jin heard the command and turned his battered squadron toward the incoming Devourers. 4 fighters against 30 creatures. The math wasn't good. But math was just numbers. Will was something else entirely. "Follow me," he transmitted. "We make them work for every meter." His squadron dove into the swarm, weapons blazing. They were gnats attacking wolves. But they were very determined gnats. Every devourer they delayed, was time for Hana to work. Every second mattered. On the asteroid, Hana heard explosions getting closer, fighters dying to protect her. She worked faster, her fingers flying across controls she barely understood. The device was coming together, piece by impossible piece. "Come on," she muttered. "Work. Please work." The bunker shook as a devourer landed on the surface above. Then another. They were digging, tearing through rock to reach the nexus below. Hana could hear them getting closer. The sound of reality being ripped apart. She connected the final wire and activated the device. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the nexus began to glow, pulsing with light that hurt to look at. The dimensional trap activated, and space around the asteroid folded into itself. The devourers that had reached the surface suddenly stopped moving. They were frozen, trapped in a pocket of looped time. To them, they would always be reaching for the nexus, always 1 second away from touching it. But that second would never end. "Admiral," Hana transmitted, her voice shaking with relief and exhaustion. "The trap works. Any devourer that gets within 1,000 meters of the asteroid is caught. They can't reach the nexus." On his command ship, Admiral Tae-Soo felt something he hadn't felt in hours. Hope. All ships. New orders. Draw the devourers toward the asteroid. Make them chase the bait. The fleet understood immediately. They began a fighting retreat, pulling back toward the asteroid. The devourers followed, unable to resist the pull of the Nexus's energy. One by one, dozens at a time, they crossed the threshold of Hana's trap and froze, trapped forever, reaching for something they could never touch. The tide of battle turned. What had been 20,000 devourers became 15,000, then 10,000, then 5. The creatures finally understood the trap and tried to retreat, but it was too late. The Alliance fleet, battered but unbroken, pressed the attack. Human weapons and alien courage combined into an unstoppable force. When the last devourer fell, destroyed or trapped, silence fell across the battlefield. 5,000 ships, now reduced to less than 3,000, hung in space around the glowing asteroid. They had won, at terrible cost, but they had won. Han Dae slumped in his command chair, too tired to even speak. Around him, his crew was celebrating, crying, hugging each other. They'd survived. Against impossible odds, they'd survived. "Captain," his communication officer said gently, "the Council is calling. They want to speak with you." Han Dae forced himself upright. "Put them through." The Council leader's face appeared on screen. His expression was exhausted but grateful. "Captain Han Dae, on behalf of the Galactic Council and all our member species, thank you. Humanity saved us. Saved everyone. We did it together," Han Dae replied. "Humans couldn't have won alone. You couldn't have won without us. That's the lesson here. Together, we're stronger than anything that threatens us. A lesson learned at great cost." The Council leader said sadly, "We lost over 2,000 ships. Millions of lives. But billions survived," Han Dae countered. "Billions who will remember this day. Remember that we stood together against the darkness." Across the fleet, similar conversations were happening. Survivors comparing notes, mourning losses, celebrating victories. Human crews and alien crews mixed freely now, barriers broken down by shared combat. They'd bled together. That created bonds nothing could break. Dr. Yuna Kang organized a memorial service a week after the battle. It was held in space, at the coordinates where the heaviest fighting had occurred. Ships from every species in the Alliance attended, their crews gathering to remember the fallen. Yuna spoke for humanity, but her words were for everyone. "We came back to this galaxy because we believed in something. We believed that cooperation was stronger than isolation. That unity was worth the risk. Today, we proved it. The people we lost proved it. They died protecting others, saving strangers. That's the highest calling any being can answer." She paused, looking at the faces around her. Human and alien, young and old, all united in grief and pride. 10,000 years ago, humanity left because we were afraid. Afraid of what we might become, what we might do with too much power. Today, we returned and found something better than power. We found purpose. We found friends. We found a place where we belong. As the service ended, Ambassador Hyun Park found himself approached by the council leader. The old being looked at him with ancient eyes. "The council has a proposal," the leader said. "We want humanity to take a leadership position in the alliance. Your technology, your tactics, your strength could reshape the galaxy." Hyun Park shook his head. "That's not why we came back. We didn't return to rule." "Then why did you return?" "To serve," Hyun said simply. "We have knowledge of dangerous things. Weapons, artifacts, technologies that could destroy civilization if misused. Let us be the guardians of those things. You handle politics, diplomacy, governance. We'll handle the threats that require specialized knowledge." The council leader considered this. "A separation of power. You protect, while we govern." "Exactly. We work together. But nobody has too much control. That's how you build something that lasts. And the Nexus stays hidden," Hyun said firmly. "Guarded by humans, but with council oversight. We're not keeping secrets anymore. We're sharing responsibility." Over the following months, the new arrangement took shape. Humanity established academies, where they taught other species their advanced technology. Not giving it away, but teaching how to develop it, helping others advance rather than keeping them dependent. Engineer Hana Choi found herself running one such academy, teaching alien students who looked at human engineering with wonder. Some of them were brilliant, finding applications for human technology that Hana had never considered. Teaching became learning, and everyone benefited. Lieutenant Wu Jin was promoted and given command of the first truly integrated military squadron. His team included pilots from 6 different species, all flying modified human fighters. They were good, really good, and they trusted each other absolutely. "How do you get them to work together so well?" another human commander asked him. "I don't get them to do anything," Wu Jin replied. "I just remind them of what we proved. That together, we're unstoppable. That our differences make us stronger, not weaker. They believe it because they lived it." Dr. Yuna Kang established an institute dedicated to studying precursor technology safely. Teams of human and alien scientists worked together, unlocking secrets that had been hidden for millions of years. Every discovery was shared across the alliance. Knowledge became currency, but currency freely given. Admiral Tae-Soo finally retired, his life's work complete. He'd spent 10,000 years carrying the burden of humanity's secret. Now, in his late years, he could rest. At his retirement ceremony, representatives from 30 species came to honor him. "You made the hardest choice," the council leader said. "You took humanity into darkness so they wouldn't become darkness. Not many leaders could do that." Tae-Soo smiled wearily. "I did what was necessary. But I'm glad it's over. Glad we came back. Humanity wasn't meant to hide forever. We were meant to be part of something larger than ourselves." Captain Han Dae took over as humanity's military commander. He established joint training programs, shared tactical knowledge, built relationships with every fleet in the alliance. Under his leadership, the combined military forces became the most effective defense force the galaxy had ever known. But he never forgot the lesson of the Great Battle. Strength alone wasn't enough. Unity mattered more than power. Trust mattered more than weapons. 5 years after humanity's return, Ambassador Hyun Park stood before the Galactic Council for what would be his final address as ambassador. He was stepping down, making way for a younger generation of human diplomats. "When we left 10,000 years ago," he said, "we thought we were protecting you from us, from what we might become. But we were wrong. We weren't protecting you from us. We were protecting ourselves from loneliness. from the isolation of having power without purpose. He looked around the chamber at familiar faces. You taught us something important. You reminded us that being strong means nothing if you stand alone, that having advanced technology means nothing if you don't share it, that being human means nothing if you're not part of the larger community of life. We were forgotten on purpose, Hyun continued. We endured in secret. We became powerful in isolation. But we were not happy. We were not complete. Only when we came back, when we stood with you against the darkness, did we remember what it means to truly live. He paused, his final words carrying across the galaxy through broadcast systems. Humanity is home, not because we returned to our old territory, but because we found our place in the community of civilized beings. We are guardians. Yes. Protectors. Yes. But most importantly, we are friends, partners, allies. We are part of something greater than ourselves. The galaxy forgot us once. We made sure of that. But now you'll never forget us again. Not because we're powerful or frightening, but because we're here, standing beside you, facing whatever comes next. Together. As Hyun finished speaking, Captain Han Dae was on the bridge of his flagship, monitoring sensors. A new threat had been detected at the galaxy's edge, unknown vessels of incredible size, heading towards civilized space. Captain, should we go to alert status? His tactical officer asked nervously. Han Dae smiled. It wasn't a happy smile, but it was confident. Contact the Council. Contact all our allies. We'll face this together, like we face everything now. He looked out at the stars, no longer dark and empty but full of friends and allies. Humanity had been alone for 10,000 years. They would never be alone again. The galaxy had forgotten humanity once, by humanity's own design. That chapter was closed. A new story was beginning. One where humans and aliens stood together against anything the universe could throw at them, and whatever came next, they would face it as one.